Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm joined by Gretta today, and of course, the Realm of Beings. Yvonne will not be with us today, so we are very happy to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. We want these conversations to help you examine your life and your creation of reality. They will help you to shift your impressions and understand what you're creating in your life and how it shows up. So this week, Gretta and I and the Realm of Beings will be talking about the quotation, "Treat yourself to a honeymoon, love yourself." And I picked that quotation and I wasn't sure why. I was just drawn to it. I said, oh, that's an interesting one. Sometimes we pick these quotations that are really verbose. And so we did it a couple of weeks ago and I said to myself, oh, so what is it? Treat yourself to a honeymoon. And my first, pass at it was like, what is the origin of honeymoon? And that turns out, no, that's not it. It's just something we can relate to that comes from some like old English tradition that has something to do with the moon, phase of the moon, when first married and drinking some kind of honeyed ale or something for 1 month. But that's not it. What it is love yourself. Right? And that in its many dimensions and forms and what exactly, does that mean? And there's this, love yourself. Is it fall in love with yourself? Why did the Realm of Being remove fall in love with yourself? What's that about? That's what I need to ask them also. So Gretta, where would you like to begin today?
On a honeymoon.
Yay!
I'd love to go on a honeymoon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about what is a honeymoon, because it has a lot of connotations to it, I think, Leigh.
Okay.
One thing I'm understanding is that there's so many different levels of love, because I think at the end it says love yourself. Is that what it says?
Go on a honeymoon. Treat yourself.
Yeah. Treat yourself to a honeymoon. A lot of us, many of us don't treat ourselves. We think about treating others.
Right.
We want to take care of others. Let me take care of my daughter. Let me take care of my partner, domestic partner, or husband, however you define that. Let me take care of the city that I'm the mayor of. Let me take care of the country because I'm the president of that country. Let me take care of my employees that work for me. Let me take care of. See, and take care of can really turn into a sinkhole.
Yes.
Because you can start sinking in there and you get so attuned to the needs of other people or other animals. Sometimes Go ahead.
It's also an escape route too. You know, people
Yeah.
use that helping others, you know, that reaching outward, so they, you know, don't have to look at what's happening in here. So, you know, yes, on one hand, it's like very altruistic, let's say, to do for others, but sometimes it's used as a path of escape.
Mhm. Absolutely. I'm in agreement with that. And one of the escapes that's always used, I shouldn't say always, let me not say always, but often, is saviorhood.
Mhm.
When I said do for others, it's like, let me save them from themselves. So
Right.
the thing is, I think what you're emphasizing with us today, Leigh, is that the inwardness, the deepness, going deep into ourselves, loving ourselves. Treat yourself to a honeymoon can mean, you know, create a whole new life based on people supporting you in loving yourself.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, that takes all this angst that we have. You know, some people in families fighting against family, or brother turning against brother, you know. What people don't realize is that when they are getting into that confrontational mode with another person, they think it's the other person. They don't look back at that this is my reality that I'm creating. Why did I create for that person to say those things to me? You see, that's a different language, because sometimes we would say, I know, at least before I learned this is what, you know, well, look what you did to me. Look what you did to me. You hurt me. And that's absolutely positively impossible. You perceive that you've been hurt. You perceive that situation, but that's not what's really happening. What's really happening, you're creating the reality. And that the other person is showing you where you are at the unconscious level.
Yes. Can we kind of pivot back a little bit to this, like, let's create the reality of a honeymoon then with ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and what are the things that entails? I mean, is that just, you know, when you imagine, right? Like, I've been hearing a lot these days about imagination and how in many of our cultural frameworks, you know, only children imagine, and we're supposed to stop imagining, get rid of that imagining thing, right? Because only children do that. Adults don't do that. But I mean, that's like kind of patently untrue, right? If you're aware and you're in, you know, you have some consciousness and you look around and you say, oh, okay, I may have created this, but I mean, what's the ticket to your honeymoon out of there? It's your imagining, right? It's like, first it starts with your imagination of, you know, okay, look around, not it, but how can it be different? You know, what can I create that is, you know, more life-giving than this, more exuberant, you know? How can I, and that's where we need this imagination. It isn't a childish act. It's like the way we can create something new is we imagine it into being first, right? Step one.
Because we're doing it anyway.
Well, right, but we sometimes get bogged down. It's not honeymoon anymore. It's just like every day, and we think that, you know, whatever, somebody out there is doing it, or it's my job making me miserable, you know, instead of kind of, if we, you know, can take that responsibility and say, okay, no, I created this job and I'm creating, you know, this situation, you know, how can I create something new?
Well, see, I think one thing that's important is to understand about our thoughts. Because one of the first things you learn when we start creating a transformation in a different belief system, in this particular type of belief system that the podcast is based on, we learn that thoughts are things, that thoughts are not just floating out there. And thoughts are in the form of energy. So one thing to do is start paying attention to what you're thinking. Because as you think it, so you get it. You know. So if I'm thinking that that person hates me, then you're going to create to be hated. If that person is going to support you that way, because we're always saying in this podcast, create, support, create. Both things are doing this, both individuals are doing the same thing at the same time. One is creating while the other one is supporting. While the other one is creating, the other one is supporting. So this is going on and on and on. And what does that come about by? What am I thinking? What am I thinking? It's always, what am I thinking about myself? See, the honeymoon is not external. The honeymoon is internal.
Right. I mean, to create, I mean, the term, like that term perhaps elicits some kind of feelings, right? Or some kind of expectations, you know, love or bliss or beginnings, right? There's that sort of energy associated with, you know, with that term. Or maybe it's even like a sense of freedom, right? Like these, you know, typically, you know, these two people are going off on a new adventure in their life together and, you know, depending on the context or whatever. So, I mean, if you look at what you're creating in your life and you want to go off on a new adventure, change some thoughts, I guess.
You know what? I like that word that you use, adventure, because that's what this whole experience is about. Adventure. We're on an adventure. You know, everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody has a set of lessons. Some of us share the same lessons, but what they are is we change different hows. So we're making it, you know, we're giving ourselves a variety. We don't wear the same clothes every day. You know, wearing the same dress, even if you had a uniform, and you wearing that to work every day. I know there's a point in you want to put a red scarf on instead of an orange one, or you want to change your tie, but the job says no, all ties are to be blue. You know, so after a while you get kind of tired of it. So what do you want to do? You might write a letter and say, okay, look, can we change the color of our ties? You know, but you got to do something. Or when you get home, you say, oh, I can get rid of this tie. Or now you're going out to dinner. Oh, I can wear a different, I like this tie over here. Let me put it on. That's what life is like. I like this, let me keep it. I don't like this, let me change it. Nobody has to stay in the same place. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your circumstances are. You can always change it. That's the honeymoon.
And that's that, you know, that's that kind of first step in, right? Like that's that first inward step to loving myself, is like knowing that, you know, loving yourself is an acknowledgement, you know, that like, oh, looking around, no, I want something different or something better. Or, I mean, you know, from that, oh, it's this like red tie. I'm so sick of this uniform, right? Like that's another word. I was like, uniformity. It's just like stagnant. And we need energy. We are energy. It's like vitality that we're seeking. I mean, I was thinking about this quotation a lot. I mean, you know, even there's so much, especially in these times that we're living in now, there's so much about this, you know, this whole idea of marriage and, you know, like that's what I think of, you know, when I think of honeymoon. And, you know, it's like it was just interesting to me because I was just thinking, it seems like such an interesting concept that, they told us that we're supposed to find one person and then just be with that person for eternity or whatever, and until this life comes to a close, as they would like us to believe also. And that just seems so limiting, right? Because we all grow and evolve, right, at different rates.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to
Absolutely.
think that like one external person is going to, first of all, like that's so misinformed anyway, right? That there's someone out there that's going to complete you in here, that the others for us should kind of act like mirrors, right? I mean, for the quote unquote good or the quote unquote bad. But it's all within us, right? Whatever we're seeing in the other, it's here first, like you say, or we wouldn't be able to see it.
Right.
So, I mean, to think that, as we grow and change and evolve, that person standing next to us is always going to be there, or what we need, because maybe you're growing at a rate and the person is growing at their rate. But okay, we served a purpose for each other in this journey. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying, like, okay, new adventure.
Right. I know for me, my daughter's father, I went to him. We had been together for about 15 years, 16 years. And I told him, I know he won't mind me sharing, and I went to him a year prior to our separation and divorce. I told him, I said, a year from now, we will not be together anymore. I said, the reason is because the lessons that we have with each other are at an end.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming to an end. So when you no longer have to learn those lessons, then there will be a separation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just automatically, because you don't need the support from that person any longer, whatever both of you were experiencing. And that separation can come in many ways. It can come legal separation, divorce. It can come by way of one of the individuals making their transition, moving on to a different reality. But it's still the same, that the lesson has come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And we can move on, like you said.
And that's okay. I mean, that's that part of, that love that, because I think we're here because we're supposed to keep learning, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's what this is about, not stagnancy. I mean, we are this like vital, we are the force, we are everything, we are this vitality. But then, I don't know, we get to be not in the honeymoon and accept it.
Guess what? That word that you use, stagnant, being stagnant, that's a lesson unto itself.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've placed ourselves in a state of being stagnant. That is a lesson. See, everything that goes on inside this reality are lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked me, they said, when do they stop? I said, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
We're here for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
And we're riding. We just don't know how many times we've been riding, but we've been riding along, and everything is okay. See, that honeymoon too, we could take it to a different understanding. The honeymoon is also to realize that anything that you created, I don't care what it is okay. That's another part of that honeymoon. It's okay. It's okay if I'm experiencing alcoholism. It's okay if I fell down the steps, broke my ankle. It's okay if I got married and stayed married for 25 years and enjoyed every minute of it. That's wonderful. It's okay. But it's okay too if you stayed married for 2 years and left for 25. You see, it doesn't matter. It's okay. It's okay. Because we were talking about, when we were on the Dr. Pat show, we were talking about that there's no sense of failure. We've mentioned that in the podcast as well.
Yes.
And in understanding that okayness is part of the honeymoon.
Right.
I'm honeymooning in okayness. I love myself. Some days maybe I don't love myself, and that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's okay. When you have a honeymoon, what you can say, well, then look what happens when the honeymoon is over. Well, see, and and this, we want to say, hey, the honeymoon is endless.
The honeymoon's never over.
Right. It terminates when you terminate it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm at is I want the honeymoon to be at every moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that. I want to be in a honeymoon state every moment. Notice that I did not say it every second, every minute, every hour, every day. I'm eliminating all time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing infinity. I'm loving myself and I'm on a honeymoon throughout infinity. That is where I want to be.
Is it eternity then infinity?
That is so interesting that you said that. Because when we do our facilitation process, working with individual people, and we have to do a process of shutting it down,
Mm-hmm.
we send the facilitation everywhere where the individual is.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things we say is, the first one we said, take it into eternity, then take it into infinity.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because as humanoids, we have a concept of eternity. It's kind of like has a certain amount of finiteness to it,
Mm-hmm.
eternity. But infinity just keeps right on going, right on going.
Right on going.
Right. It goes beyond this planet, beyond this reality that we're in, you see, and
Mm-hmm.
goes on and on and on, because we are infinite.
Right.
We are actually infinite beings. And we're divine. So why not have a honeymoon every day?
Yes, right. I mean, part of me thinks like, okay, we came to this humanoid, or we chose this humanoid experience to feel everything, right? To have like the emotional smorgasbord, the emotional buffet, right? So, the greed, the jealousy, everything's on that buffet, and you can walk up and fill your plate with whatever you desire.
Right. That's
Whatever
right.
your lessons are meant to be, you just like, it's an all you can eat, just mix and match, fill up your plate with whatever. So, I mean, all of those things are sitting there side by side, right? Because there's not any that are better or worse, than something else. They're all just next to each other, but it's just like what you prefer to experience, right? At that moment. It's all there for our choosing. And we choose it through our thoughts and through our programs and through what we're creating with those thoughts and with that salad bar of emotions, right?
That's right. That's right. And if we take it to the restaurant level,
Yes.
we eat until we're tired of eating it. And what does the rest of it become but garbage? And we throw it out. So it's like, I've filled up on mashed potatoes. I don't want to see another mashed potato for at least a week, you know. So, and I love mashed potatoes, okay? But you can only eat so many mashed potatoes until you get tired of it eventually, you know. So it's like the emotions. You're going to get tired of going through that emotion over and over and over again, you know. So when you get to the point is, though, that people would ask us, how do you get rid of it? You know, if we got the plate, all we got to do is take and scrape it off and it's through. Okay, so what is the mechanism that we can use to scrape off of the plate the garbage that we no longer want, or the food we no longer want, or the emotions we don't? And that's what we've been talking about in the podcast too. We've given people, you know, a lot of people know about affirmations. We said there's so many things, different ways that you can deal with not sweeping, but scraping off your plate. Right. Yep, right. So many ways. But one simple way that I think we miss it is that we can just decide I don't want it. And put the energy behind it and put the action. See, we can't just sit back and say, I don't want something. You got to put action to it, because that's part of this process. Right. I don't want this. It was like with me. Okay. The relationship with my daughter's father was over. What was the action? Number one, telling him. Number two, preparing myself to be a single parent. And number three, getting the divorce. That was the action that I chose. Right. You see, somebody else might have chosen a different action. Let's talk about it. Let's go to therapy, you know, and either way is okay. It's just like you said, when you go up there to the buffet, what do you want? Nobody's going to tell you, don't eat that broccoli. Don't eat those carrots. People, when they go up to the buffet, they are focused on what do they want to eat. They're not looking at you to say, what are you putting on your plate? Right. But we do that in life. We do that in life.
Oh, yes. We like to look over at what somebody else is doing and tell them they should be doing something else.
Right. Right. And when we do that, it takes us out of the honeymoon stage.
Right. Before we get to the realm, Gretta, and before we get to our first break, I just want to ask you a question about, you know, we always talk a lot about unconditional love of self, right? And in this, it's saying love yourself, right? And I want to go to some sort of like into the realm of energy and eternity and creation. We're going there, right? Whoa. So is this unconditional love, is that the love that is it just is, right? It is like maybe the energizing force of the force. Like the force is just love, right? With no judgment, no right or wrong. That is like the mechanism of the energy of the universe, like that structure, that whatever, right, is what everything else is built off of and infused with, right? So it's it's steady, it's constant. It's maybe, you know, when we're in unconditional love, or when we're connected, when we remember that we have a font of that flowing to us, right? And we feel centered and maybe at peace, you know, when our thoughts are suspended and our judgments aren't there. You know, it could be that thing where you're looking at the sunset or looking into the eyes of your grandchild or something, where you're just present and balanced, right? But like love is more of, especially when we say to fall in, right? Like, where are we falling? Like that falling is conducive of movement, right? You know, like that's the love energy that like creates, momentum or change in our life, right? So if we fall in love with ourselves, that's like realizing that there's some action we need to take, whether it's some action with our thoughts or just some physical action, right? Like, how you were explaining. So that's just what I was thinking. Or like falling in, when we like say we're falling in love with some external other, right? Like I think we see, we're seeing qualities in them that we think are absent in ourself, right? And that's what we're loving. But as you always keep explaining, if we can see it in somebody, it's here already.
Absolutely.
So when we see, we like, oh, love, whatever it is. And that could be, falling in love, you can fall in love. It doesn't have to be another human. It could be, something in your pet. It could be something in a plant. It could be something in a flower, just something that like resonates some vitality in you, right? Or some recognition of what you already are.
Yes.
And when you see it there, like, and especially with a human, there's a lot of other things you see too after the honeymoon, but
yes,
if you're aware, and you're like, oh, those things are in me too, so let's try and heal our stuff together if we can.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, one thing is that where's the universe? Not universe. Let me say the force, because there are many universes out there.
Right.
They go into infinity. So the force is an infinite being. Okay. So now the love, I always explain it that here is love. I love you. Okay. I love myself. But up here, I call this Valentine's Day love. Here I get the candy, I get the flowers, I get all of this, I love you, happy Valentine's Day, But then after Valentine's Day goes, then the love can, in some cases, not all, but can become a little rocky.
Right.
Okay, but now let's move down. Let's get, not, when I'm saying down, I mean deeper into self. When you go deeper into self, then we're dealing with unconditional love. That means I'm going to love myself and not put any conditions on that. If I create a reality that I don't like, it's okay. If I create one I do like, it's okay. I choose whichever one I want to do because it's based on what I need to learn. Now, there's a force too, but there's another love that's deeper than that. And it's deeper inside. And that's the love of oneness. Understanding that there is no separation. So we have love, unconditional love, and love of oneness. And we're always teaching that there's even love deeper than that.
But this love of oneness, since we're experiencing this human experience, and, this human experience is based on duality, right? Is that even a real, I don't even know. Of course, everything is possible, but I'm saying at our level of human consciousness at this moment in time, we're still, shooting other humans with weapons, others, that we're still thinking there's others, I understand everything is possible, but, is it possible? I mean, except for like the 1 in a billion, to really understand that unity in a human form because of our design. And I'm not saying that our design is bad. Whatever we're here to experience and create, ripples out into the oneness. And, we're creating things, I guess, for other planetary dimensions and so on and so forth that we're totally unaware of because our field is just like this. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, let's just work on loving this a little more.
Yeah. And when you say this, loving this more, is really loving ourselves more. We're taking ourselves on a self honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because we're by ourselves anyway. You see, really, when you really think about it, we're by ourselves. Because each person is creating their own reality. It's creating their own experience. You can be married, but the husband is creating, or the wife is creating their experience, and over here the other individual is creating their experience. They're married, but they're still separate. We are all, in a sense, separate like that, but yet from a spiritual perspective, we are all one. There is no separation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, this illusion, that like, that's what this, whatever 3D plane we're on, you know what I mean? That's what it's about. That's like what we can perceive, with these sense organs that we have. So, I don't even know to like tap into these other, to shift your impression that drastically, are you really kind of, somehow connecting to like, the realm of being plane, wherever they reside.
Well, let's see where they reside.
Okay, so do you want to take a break? And yes. We have about 22 minutes, and I will ask them these questions about love. See what they have to say.
Let's see what they have to say.
So thank you for hanging with us, listeners. I'm Leigh. This is Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, and that's Greta. When we come back, I will be asking the realm of being to explain things to us. We'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Greta and I have been talking about the quotation, treat yourself to a honeymoon, love yourself. And we got into some discussions of love and unconditional love and honeymoons. So Realm, will you please share your wisdom about this quotation that you created with us, please?
Oh, yes. Ferris wheels.
Ferris wheels.
Candy. And what Jacob always says, Fruit Loops. Let's go for it. Let's enjoy our lives. Let's not sit down and cry and weep and wail. What does that do for you?
Right.
This whole experience, if you really think about it, should be one of where I know we got these lessons to learn. Like we've always said that we as the realm of beings have lessons to learn as well. Don't think that we're not having lessons, because we're right here in this reality with you. That's why you can hear us now. So our lessons are different from yours. Our honeymoon is different from your honeymoon, but it doesn't matter. Because what our purpose is love of self. When people get married, and here in your humanoid experience, and you want to go, after the marriage, everybody asks, where are you going for your honeymoon? That's what they ask, so, and everybody prepares, okay, my wedding day, but after my wedding day, I am going on a honeymoon. And you choose, where are you going? What are you going to experience? So you fly off to the Bahamas, or you fly off to the continent of Europe, or you might even just go to the hotel in your city. But the point is, you've decided you're going somewhere. Well, in this life, you are always going somewhere. You never are stagnant. Never, ever. You are forever creating this reality. So why not create one of a honeymoon where you are enjoying your life instead of sitting back moaning and groaning and say, oh, I'm worthless. Look what I did. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have gone to school and I didn't. All of these things. I shouldn't. Leave those I shouldn'ts out. Because the shouldn'ts were lessons that you chose. So that's okay. Because this space is, this reality is nothing but lessons in the first place. You know, Greta said earlier that somebody asked her, when do the lessons stop? And she said, they don't, of course not. You're in this space. You agreed to experience this. You agreed to create for yourself. So you can choose to create a honeymoon, or you can choose to create something of the opposite. And like she's been saying, and like you've been saying, Leigh, it is okay. See, honeymoon is okay, folks. Okay, stop beating up on yourself. See your worthiness. I don't care what state or what reality you have created. You are divine. You are divine. We are here to assist you in recognizing your divinity. I'll say it again. You are divine. I don't care what you're showing. I don't care what personality you are showing. You are divine. Each and every one of you. That's that's the honeymoon. That's understanding that I have created myself to be this way, and it's okay. I've created myself to be homeless. It's okay. I've created myself to be incarcerated. It's okay. I created myself to be a billionaire. That's okay. Because even within that billionairehood, you still have lessons. Being a billionaire is a lesson unto itself, just as being homeless is a lesson. There's no difference. A lesson is a lesson, everybody.
Realm. Can I ask you a question about, in this quote, you just said, love yourself. And is there, you know, I was asking Greta if you know, the English colloquialism of to fall in love, like that fall is evolutive of action or evolving, you know, because it's the falling, right? It's a motion term, and fall in. So it's like, you know, we say fall in love with someone, like thinking of the outside, but when you say fall in, it's actually like in with you, not out with them.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
That, like, why did you choose love yourself, which is like kind of less movement, instead of fall in love with yourself?
First, love yourself is your purpose.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Because everybody's always asking, what's my purpose? I want to know what my purpose is. Wait. Go ahead.
But now, okay, so if to love yourself is your purpose, and we are the force, and like we are divine. You were just telling us that, right? So is it love yourself? Is it just like remembering like that you are the divine and that there is like love always is flowing to you and through you because you are it. So just remember that and recognize it, and then like let it shine out. And then when you fall in, I don't know, now this is the confusing part. In a human, we say fall in love, and we're always falling outward to that external something. but fall in. And like what I was asking with Greta, we say we fall in, but we find an external thing and we recognize something usually beautiful, or and say it's in them, but it's in us. Can you make it more clear?
What happens is that, as we were saying, your purpose is to love yourself.
Right.
Now, what does loving yourself mean? Loving yourself will mean something different for each person, each individual.
Right. That's like a perspective thing.
Yes, yes. What one person feels is loving self does not mean the other person is going to share that thought.
Mm.
But yet there are going to be others that will share that thought. So the falling in, when we put in inside that quote,
you just put love yourself. I asked about the falling in love part.
Thank you. I think there's a quote, though, that we did write somewhere along the line that says fall in love with yourself, I think.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. But you're absolutely, say it again for me for this quote, just treat yourself.
Treat yourself to a honeymoon, love yourself.
Okay, so love yourself. What
Right.
does that contain? That means don't judge self. Love self means don't judge self. Don't think that you are not worthy. Now, get this, you might have created someone to tell you that you're no good. You might have created someone to beat you every day. You put yourself in that experience. But out of that experience, you want to transform yourself into a being that is loving self. I'm okay. I'm okay with what I've chosen. That's the love of self. Can be translated, as I said before, I'm okay. When you realize that you're okay, then you don't have to beat up on yourself. You don't have to feel that emotion of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And get this, you don't have to focus on making mistakes because there are no mistakes. There is no failure. You chose each one of your experiences because you love yourself. How about that one?
That's some circular logic that I'll have to stop and think about for a minute.
Can you imagine? You created to fall down because you love yourself?
Right, we say falling is usually about being angry about something.
Absolutely. So then you created an angry state to be in love with yourself. You create these things that assist you in moving and clarifying to yourself at every moment that I am in love with myself. I recognize my trueness. I recognize that falling down was not my trueness. My trueness is standing up.
Mm.
So therefore, I'm creating now, I'm on the ground, but I'm creating now to stand up. Because
Yes.
I'm loving myself standing up. I don't think anybody's ever loved themselves falling down. Although anything's possible, but I can't imagine. Notice I said I can't imagine. We imagine just like you imagine. Our imaginations work a little bit differently. And we imagine different things. Because even though we're sharing this reality with you, we are also in a different reality simultaneously as we are with you.
Right. I think before the break, I was asking, where are you?
Where are you? The one thing that we could say as an answer to that is that we are one with you. So therefore we are you. That is where we are at. You.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. It's like these step downs, right? Like I don't know. So I was thinking about it, like we're all, you're where you are and I'm where I am, but you're me and I'm you.
And we can add one more part to that. And we're in the same place.
Right. But just a different, we are the one energy in different, we always use the term illusions. And I was thinking about this too, but it's more like we're like distortions of the same energy. And I don't mean distorted in a bad way. I mean, just like the energy is fractaling in some other, to make you,
remember now, it's not the energy that's fractulating. It's our perception of it.
Because we cannot, like, you can see what you can see from your perception of where you are, and I can see only what I can perceive from the box that I'm looking through.
Absolutely.
And do you think that, like, the oneness is like that love that is like balancing and harmonizing everything, and that is why it's constant?
Well, you see, it's not that it's balancing.
It's like it's all order, like it's completely coherent in its.
Yes.
It's like love is the coherency of the force, and as it radiates out, there's like just different patterns that it takes.
Yes, and then when you say radiating love, we'll be honest with you, Leigh. Right now, it is difficult to even imagine the love of the force. Even, it's way deeper. Remember, we started off with love, and we said that Valentine's Day love. Then we took you into unconditional love, and then we took you deeper into yourself to find the oneness. But there is a love deeper than that. And then there's a love deeper than that. Then there's a love deeper than that. Right now, we're sitting above, we're flying in an airplane above the surface. We haven't been into the water yet.
Okay.
Or the what do you call those things? Runways?
Yes.
We haven't gotten to the runway yet to settle down.
Realm, we have just a couple of some closing something quickly.
Oh, we get to close again.
Yes.
All right. Well, you know what? I say every week, and when I say I mean the we-ness of us, is that every week we tell people, love yourself, honor yourself, recognize that you are divine. Recognize that, regardless of what state you have created. And whatever state, it's okay.
Thank you, Realm, for sharing your wisdom. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Greta, until we create each other again, this has been Shifting Impressions.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multidimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.